Welcome back, everybody, to the Podecito podcast. I am your host, Surreal469. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey as we traverse through our favorite TV show. Of course, I'm talking about the incomparable Las Vegas. We are 7 episodes in now, and this episode is another fantastic one. Do you remember how happy I was at the end of the last episode? How excited I was for this episode? You're going to find out why. We are at Pros and Cons, episode 7 of Las Vegas. This one aired November 10th, 2003. And this is one of the ones where we get to see some recurring characters. We get to see some one and out guest stars, but the flow continues to go very fast in this one. Not a moment to waste. So what are we doing? Wasting moments. Let's get right to it. The director of this episode was Greg Yaitanes. And Greg Yaitanes, aside from directing, he did some producing. The last thing he produced was a short called Donut Boy, which is completed right now but hasn't been released. He also did 7 episodes of Presumed Innocent, which was a Jake Gyllenhaal show, or is a Jake Gyllenhaal show. He produced House of the Dragon, 6 episodes of the new Twilight Zone. He did a lot of producing and creative work with the show called Banshee Origins, which is a show I have never heard of, but apparently has been around since around 2013 through to 2015. He did 68 episodes of House as a producer. He did 7 of Drive in 2007, which I liked. I liked the show Drive. I really did. His first producing credit was on a show called Rorschach back in 1993. As a director, the last thing he did was Your Friends and Neighbors, which is in production right now. That one, I guess, hasn't started yet. That one's coming out next year. The last thing that he directed that has come out was Jake Gyllenhaal in Presumed Innocent this past year, as well as a few episodes of House of the Dragon, Twilight Zone, like I mentioned. He also did the show Underground, if you remember that one from about 5 years ago, with Christopher Maloney from SVU, Journey Smollett, Aldous Hodge, who is one of my favorite actors from another one of my favorite shows, Leverage. We will get into that one very shortly. Well, not very shortly. It's about 10 or so episodes away, but 13. But we'll get to it. He also directed 9 episodes of, again, the Banshee show. He did a bunch of episodes for that. 9 of the original, 20 of Origins. He directed an episode of the Kira Sedgwick closer, not to be confused with the Tom Selleck closer. He did Damages, which has a great theme song. He did Heroes, which, as we know, takes place in the same universe as they go to the Montecito. He did a few episodes of CSI Miami. He did 2 episodes of our favorite show, Las Vegas. This one, Pros and Cons, and 1 in season 2, You Can't Take It With You. He also directed one of our guest stars in The Invisible Man for 4 episodes. Vincent Ventresca. I'm going to have to learn how to say his name. Which is how we got him on this show, but we'll get to that when we get to that. He directed Dennis Rodman. Did you know Dennis Rodman had a TV show in 97, 98? I didn't. And I was addicted to television then. He had 3 episodes. He directed 3 episodes of the show called Soldier of Fortune. He also directed Heather Locklear in Double Tap and Hard Justice in 95, which I think was a Seagal movie that went straight. Did it go straight to video? That seems early for Seagal going straight to video. But the first thing that our intrepid director here directed was Rorschach back in 1993. That is Greg Yaitanes. This episode was written by Gary Scott Thompson, the puppet master himself, and Daniel Arkin. Daniel Arkin also has some producer credits. He did Chicago PD for about 10 episodes. He did 120 episodes of Suits, which is interesting because I've actually found myself binge watching Suits as we speak. You know, when I'm not doing Las Vegas, I'm watching Suits. It's a fine show. It's a good show. It's a really good show. There's a lot of minutia in it, but it's a really good show. The spinoff of it as well, Pearson, for 7 episodes. He did the reboot of 90210. He did 10 episodes of Kyle XY. Why does that keep popping up? Me wonders. He produced 22 episodes of Las Vegas. His first producer credit was 22 episodes as well of Alias. As a writer, Daniel Arkin's latest credit was Station 19 for 1 episode. back in 2022. He did an episode of Chicago PD. He did 10 episodes of Pearson, which I'm guessing, I haven't gotten that far, I'm guessing is a spinoff of Suits. He did about 7 episodes for Star Wars, Clone Wars, within that universe. He did an episode of 90210, 2 episodes of Kyle XY. What is that connection? He wrote 2 episodes of our favorite show, Las Vegas. This is the first one. The second one is Nevada States. That's coming up. He also wrote 2 episodes of Alias, 2 episodes of X-Files, and the first writing credit that Daniel Arkin has is for a project called The Others from 2000. That's some of the crew that helped bring you Pros and Cons. As we get started on this episode, we whoosh through part of the casino, through to the roulette table, where we see 2 of the people we're going to be following on this episode, and we have to stop here before we even get started. One of those people, apparently a couple, the male, says,
I see red. I see red. I see red. I see red. Red. I see red.
And I listen. If I ever hear myself say red, I see red, and I'm anywhere near a roulette table, I'm betting on black because of this scene. But before we get started, before we figure out why seeing red may not be the thing he thinks it is, or even I think it is, we're going to get back to that a little bit later on, let's talk about who these people are. The male, he's going to be called Cosme. We're going to later find out. The actor is John Briones. John was born in the Philippines as Ernesto Briones. He is an actor and a singer who left the Philippines at 23 to go to London to join the original cast of Miss Saigon. Boy, a singing background. It's almost as if that's going to come up a bit later. He's been married and he's got 2 kids who are also in the business. So the last credit he has that you may have heard him in, as opposed to see him in, is Transformers. Look at that, another Transformers connection. This one is Transformers Earthspark, where he played Alex Malto and a voice in the crowd for 24 episodes from 2022 to 2024. The last thing you may have seen him in was a miniseries starring Kate Mara from House of Cards, Class of '09 in 2023, where he played Gabriel for 8 episodes. We talked about the Broadway performance. He was also in Beauty and the Beast, a 30th celebration TV special where he played Maurice. I actually would kind of want to see that now. Cosme as Maurice, that sounds very fun. He was in Star Trek Picard as the first magistrate for 2 episodes. Star Trek connection here. We're going to hold tight to that Star Trek connection. We're going to get back to that in a second as well. He was in Ratched, the Sarah Paulson show, for 8 episodes as Dr. Richard Hanover. He was in Better Things with Pamela Adnon for an episode. He did American Horror Story, which has a direct connection with Sarah Paulson. As Ariel Augustus for 3 episodes. He was in Designated Survivor. He was in American Crime Story as a Modesto Kunanen. I'm pretty sure I said that one right. In 2018, American Crime Story is a very good anthology series. I believe it's still on Netflix. You should check it out. He was in Criminal Minds for an episode, Miss Saigon 25th Anniversary as the engineer. He did an episode of The Mentalist, Law & Order LA. There's a connection there, and we'll get back to that shortly. He was in an episode of Monk. Look at that, another connection with the Montecito. He did an episode of Bones. He also did an episode of Sons of Anarchy as Asian Elvis. I've seen Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy is really good up until like the last season or so. Then it's kind of meandering, but up until then it's really good. And he did 2 episodes here of Las Vegas. This is his first television credit, John Briones. Now, some of you may be wondering, who have been following the show for the past few weeks, why isn't Cosme in the running for VIP guest star this week? Well, the answer is one of the self-imposed rules of VIP guest star is the VIP guest star has to have played a character once on the show and only once. Cosme comes back. And so Cosme is a recurring character. So unfortunately, as much as this is like Gunther. This is another Gunther situation where as much as my heart wants to say Cosme is the definite guest star, VIP star of this episode, he is a recurring character because he does come back. So, Jean Briones, as much as I love you and appreciate you in this role, I am going to be glad to see you return to this role in a few short episodes. One such person who only makes one appearance is the actress who plays his wife. Tess Lena plays Lenore, his put-upon wife, but well-meaning and sweet and loving and devoted and all the good things that you would hope for in a wife. Her last credited role was on For All Mankind as Veronica Hunt, spelled two different ways in her appearances, one with a C and one with a K. Either way, she did 4 episodes of that from 2023 to 2024 at least. She also did some video game work. Virtual Reality 2 in 2022. She played a madam in that. She did Curtis and Otis podcast series as Frenchie in 2021, which I didn't know was a sort of podcast series. That's interesting. Sounds like she played a part. It's almost like, sounds like it's an old-timey radio thing. Let's see, she was in SWAT. She was in How to Get Away with Murder for 2 episodes. She was in General Hospital for 2 episodes. She was in CSI Miami. Look at that connection coming back again for an episode. She did NCIS. She did CSI, the original one, as I imagine, different character in 2005. She was in the movie Danica in 2005. Now, you may be asking, 0469, what is so important about this movie Danica? Well, this movie Danica starred Marissa Tomei, co-starred James Avery, and was written by my philosophy teacher in high school. Yes, it was. It was written by my philosophy teacher in high school. It is a pretty interesting psychological movie. The ending, it's interesting. I would suggest watching it. I would suggest finding it, watching it. Danica with a K. Danika. Danica. She played Mrs. Zachary in that movie that just happened to be happened to be written by my philosophy teacher, Josh Liebner. Anyway, she also, I told you to stick a pin in the Star Trek reference. Well, she is in Star Trek Enterprise as Karen Archer, aka the great-granddaughter of Scott Bakula's character, Captain Archer, in Enterprise in 2004. She also played an ADA on The Practice. She played Lenore here in Las Vegas that one time. This isn't her first credit. Her first credit is Law & Order Criminal Intent. That's, if I'm keeping count correctly, her third Law & Order appearance in 2002, where she played Vanna. Ooh la la. So that's Cosme and Lenore, and as we zoom in on the chips that Cosme is pouring entirely onto Red. Why? Because he sees red, that's right. And we get to see a, I guess, state-of-the-art for 2003 CGI of a roulette table. It's not bad, actually. Maybe for 2003, for a 2003 TV show. Okay, so remember when I talked about in the first episode the technological and special effects gaps between TV and movies around this time period? The special effects that we see here for this roulette table, and I'm noticing it maybe now for the first time because of how I'm watching it for the podcast, it is not quite cinematic level. Well, hold on. It depends on which movie you're talking about, because some movies that came out in 2003, their CGI was still garbage. Okay, so it's not the greatest CGI in the world, but it's realistic enough so that you understand what it's supposed to be doing. But it does look like, I would say it looks like a decent casino game from like 2000. It looks like a decent Xbox casino game, maybe. Like it's yeah. That's what I would say. Anyway, Cosme saw red, but it lands on 17 black. And do you need me to go over roulette and how it's changed now, and how Cosme would definitely have worse odds of winning now, considering that they added more spaces on the roulette table? You don't? Okay, I won't. Anyway, he lost, and Lenore comes back with a great line.
Now you see, black idiot.
And her luck just changed because she happened to run into just the princess of the queens of Las Vegas, Mary Connell. And Mary Connell helps walk her to the ladies' lounge, which is a good segue into our next segment. And the thing is that Lenore just tapped herself and Cosme into the Montecito magic. But we'll get back to that when we get back to that. As we go to the ladies' lounge, we see another one of the queens of Las Vegas, Delinda, just walk by this poor unfortunate soul in this terrible, terrible wig. Even in 2003, that is clearly a terrible, terrible wig, crying on one of the couches in the ladies' lounge. And we're going to stop here for half a second for a few different things. The first thing we have to stop for is the music cue. In this scene, you are hearing New Bossa, B-O-S-S-A, by Ulf Meyer. I meant to say that. Ulf, U-L-F, Meyer, M-E-Y-E-R, on all incarnations that you will watch. You're listening to New Bossa in this scene. Also in this scene, you are seeing one of our guest stars, the just delicious Alana de la Garza. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Alana de la Garza is playing the role of Shelley. Alana de la Garza, her last credit was on the show FBI, which apparently also stars, which I've never seen, apparently also stars Jeremy Sisto from Suburgatory and Law & Order fame, as well as Clueless. He was also in Clueless. Alana, was on that show for 92 episodes, as well as subsequent spin-offs, etc., such as FBI, well, it was all FBI SAC, I suppose. There's a whole bunch of these. She did 92 episodes with Jeremy Sisto. She did 12 episodes with Dylan McDermott and Edwin Hodge, the brother of Aldous Hodge from Leverage. She did 3 episodes of an incarnation with a bunch of people I've never heard of, including Luke Kleintack. She also did more than a handful of episodes, a couple of dozen, of Criminal Minds as Clara Sager. Both Criminal Minds and Criminal Minds Beyond Borders. She was also in Scorpion for 3 episodes. You may more recently recognize her. If you don't recognize her from FBI, you may most recently recognize her from the Law & Order franchise, where she played Connie Rubirosa. She started in the original one, well, the tail end of the original Law & Order in 2006 through 2010. Then she moved over to Law & Order LA in 2011, which didn't last too long, but apparently she's kept that character going at least through 2014 on the franchise. She also was in Charmed. 2005, Alana de la Garza on Charmed. Oh my gosh. On a CW show? Back then it was the WWW. On that show? I know she was only on there for 1 episode, because there's no way those girls are going to keep Alana de la Garza around for that long. She would outshine all of them, and I'm sure she did. She was also in Smallville for an episode. She did an episode of 2.5 Men as Crystal in 2004. She did this episode of our favorite show, Las Vegas. She was in Jag for an episode in 2003. She did 20 episodes of All My Children. Boy, does the casting in Las Vegas love them some soap actors. She was also in a Brooks and Dunn music video in 2001. We'll get back to them in a few episodes. And her first credit on a screen was in Mortal Kombat Conquest in '99. playing Ella. She was credited as Alan Garza for some reason. I don't know if there was another Alana de la Garza in the Union at that point or what. But Alana de la Garza she doesn't have the longest list of credits to her IMDb, but it's fairly dense. You know, she did over 100 episodes of one show, 50 of this one, 20 of another one, and she popped onto the scene around 99. Alana de la Garza, this 2003 Alana de la Garza, this is prime Alana de, oh my gosh. Whoo, let's just say we can hear more of a personality here, but it will be very much distracting. I'm already distracted. My tongue is distracted. Very much distracting when we see her full debut later on in this episode. In the meantime, she is giving a sob story to Delinda about some boyfriend who's going to kill her, who she owes money to. She just wants to get back home to Phoenix. Keep track of this story, because this story is going to be the one that she tells a few times in this episode to a few different people. And it works for her. Right now, she's telling the story, and you can see that she's putting on the act, and you can also see that Delinda is believing her. Delinda she might think she's pulling off some Montecito magic here, but we'll see shortly that she's not. She hears the full story. Alana talks about she just wants to get back to Vegas, and she can't, or wants to get out of Vegas and back home to Phoenix, and she can't because her boyfriend is watching the whole thing, and she doesn't want to have to cash in the chips that she has, and she's sitting in the lounge, and she doesn't know what she's going to do. Delinda says, cash in your chips. You can't cash in your chips? Listen, I'll cash them in for you. We can just exchange them for the cash right now, and exchange it for the cash. And the director, Greg, does a very good job of honing in on this heart tattoo that Shelly has on her hand as she's handing off the chips to Delinda. And in the meantime, Delinda tells her,
I'm no expert on relationships, but you need a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the airport and catch the first flight to Phoenix. Thank you.
Now we go back into the casino, and Delinda's got the chips. She runs into Nessa. Oh, another queen. We've already seen 3 of our queens so far in this episode. This is a great, you don't know how great an episode this is? We are less than 3 minutes in, and we've seen 3 of our queens already. Anyway, Nessa runs into Delinda. Delinda is not warned or chastised, but Nessa does say employees aren't supposed to be gambling while they're working. Delinda says she's not gambling. She's going to turn them in. Nessa has to tell Danny, and Danny is shocked at just how cheap and counterfeit these chips are. That's right. Delinda doesn't know that they're counterfeit chips, but Nessa knows immediately, and Danny knows immediately just by looking at them. That's their job to know. After all, it's not necessarily Delinda's job to know, and she probably doesn't do much gambling in the actual casino. And then we get a really good, cool whoosh of Danny holding up the chip to the eye in the sky, obviously knowing that Ed is watching. Ed's always watching, and Ed sees on the camera his daughter got taken. Let's let the dealer shuffle the deck for a second, and we'll be right back. For the freshest and in-depth reactions and analysis of all the goings-on in hip-hop, sports, poetry, and everything else, go to Poetics Reacts on YouTube. Hosted by world-famous poet and chef Mr. Poetic, Poetics Reacts gives you points of view you never thought of and never thought of saying out loud. Go to YouTube and search Poetics Reacts or tinyurl.com/PoeticsReacts now. That's PoetixReacts. As we come back from the credits, we see the phony chip on all the monitors in Ed's office, including the ones that are facing only towards the camera that's watching in the office. I don't know what these 4 monitors are facing. I don't know why they're facing just some random. Imagine this. So imagine you're the head of security and you got an office like Ed's, and you just have 4 monitors facing literally just a wall for no reason. Literally facing. We never go to that side of the office. By the time we get more in depth with Ed's office, than we do this season. It's a renovated office, so we get a whole nother scenario when they renovate the casino. Those 4 monitors are there strictly for you and me. Aren't we lucky? Logistically, those have no use whatsoever in Ed's office because they don't face a thing. Anyway, Ed is chastising Delinda a little bit about these chips. I work in a casino. My daughter gets taken for some chips that look terrible. How does that make me look? A, good. B, not so good. See? My Ed impression is getting better. In any event, Delinda's sitting there getting chastised, and here's a key thing that is said in this scene right here. Delinda asks, well, aren't you just going to sick the boy Wonder on her to go get her? And Ed replies, it would do no good. She's long gone by now. Keep that in your mind. Hold on to that thought. Hold on to the thought of she's long gone by now. Hold on to it, because she's not. In any event, Ed isn't angry, just disappointed, and tells her, be glad it's only $400. But by the way, she just had $400 on her. We'll skip that part. We're trying to escape reality right now, but she just had it on her, and she tossed it like it was $20. In any event, as she's about to leave, Danny says,
try not to be so gullible next time.
Look who's talking. You thought sleeping together meant I loved you.
D&D shippers, at this point, 7 episodes in, I'm not sure if the leg you're standing on is made of wood, if it's imaginary, if you're just floating in midair somehow. But this leg that you're trying to stand on, D&D shippers, of Danny and Delinda were always meant to be together just because they were together in the first scene in the episode. Even the characters in this show at this point, I'm going to get off my soapbox, because D&D shippers, you're going to have, this is not a good episode for D&D shippers. It's not. We'll get to that later. In any event, Danny is tossed a watch by Ed in appreciation for how Danny treated one of their whales the last time he was in the casino. We will later find out that this watch is very, 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 very expensive. I'm not a watch guy myself in terms of knowing the super expensive ones, etc. Like, I know ones that look good on me, that I personally like, my personal taste. This watch is very understated. I don't hate this watch. I like it a lot. I don't think I would pay the amount of money that it's allegedly worth on this show, but it's a nice watch. It's certainly a nice watch. As Danny is given the watch, he says it's a nice piece of bling, and Ed asks what bling means, and I thought, oh, okay, I thought you were referring to Delinda. This is another example of Ed being out of touch with the zeitgeist, with the lexicon, with understanding what terminology is. You know, I say that, and I'm sitting here still mad that cap is a thing in the popular lexicon now, but I will tell you this. What Ed thinks it is not something that Danny's right. Danny's 100% right on this one. Ed, it's bling ain't what you think it is. As we leave that scene, we are met with another one of our queens of Las Vegas. Of course, I'm talking about the incomparable Samantha Jane Marquez. She's coming in, obviously, with some high rollers, because that's who Samantha Jane deals with, don't you know? These two high rollers are important, however. They are co-vying for VIP guest stars. Not as you're listening to this. As you're listening to this, we already have a winner at some point, but you can check in on this coming week's, as you're listening to this, that would be episode 9's VIP guest star list on all the social medias that you can find the Podecito. Twitter, Facebook, the Facebook page, the Las Vegas, the series page on Facebook, Reddit, all those places you can go and vote. Now, here we are met with our two VIPs. We are talking, of course, about Michael and Elliot. Let's start with Michael. Michael is played by Paul Ben Victor. Paul Ben is probably, I don't know if he's probably best known. He's known for a lot of stuff. You've seen him in a bunch of stuff. A lot of people have seen him in Everybody Hates Chris. His most recent credit is Everybody Still Hates Chris, the cartoon version of Everybody Hates Chris that just came out in 2024. He was also in the new runaway rom-com on Netflix, Nobody Wants This, starring Kristen Bell. He was in 6 episodes of that. He was in Gravesend and The Neighborhood, crossing over in both of those series. He did 5 episodes of Gravesend, 2 episodes of The Neighborhood. That's the one with Tashina Arnold, also from Everybody Hates Chris. He did those from 2018 to 2020, 2023, etc. He was in there as Matty Cigars. He was in Emancipation, the Will Smith movie, as Major G. Halstead. He was in the Tommy and Pam TV miniseries in 2022 as Richard Alden. He did The Banker with Samuel L. Jackson and Nia Long as Donald Silverthorne. He did SVU for 2 episodes, Will and Grace for an episode. The Irishman, that movie. He was also in Bull with DiNozzo from NCIS. He was in the Santa Clarita Diet for a couple episodes. He was in The Resident for an episode. I tried watching The Resident. It popped up on my Netflix. I saw Malcolm Jamal Warner in the thumbnail. I'm like, he's all right, I suppose. I got nothing else. This is before I started shooting. I was like, let me watch this. I got through maybe 15 episodes or 15 minutes of that. That show sucks. That show is terrible. And then I found out that they made 6 seasons of it. Oh, what has TV gotten to today? They did 6. That show was terrible. Like, not even good cheese. That show was just terrible. And it was on for 16. Anyway, he did 2 episodes of The Mick. He did Chicago Med. He did an episode of Castle. He did the Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson season of True Detective. He was in the movie Grudge Match with De Niro and Stallone. He also... Are we going to do this again? Did you hear that? He was also... I guess it's a pattern now. He was also in Hawaii Five-0, the Scotty Conn version in 2013 as Devin Campbell. He was in a show with Dennis Quaid and Michael Chiklis. Michael Chiklis will be a co-star of his a few times in his career. This show that he was in with both of them was called Vegas. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? The Michael Chiklis show, Vegas, that came out in 2010, 2013. It was... The gimmick was that it was supposed to take a look back at old school 50s Vegas with Michael Chiklis as the mob boss with a heart of gold, I guess. It wasn't great, and it wasn't Las Vegas, and I think it was on CBS too. No, not CBS. I think was it on NBC? No, it was on CBS. I'm pretty sure it was on CBS. And I'm pretty sure NBC didn't have the gall to touch it. But it was so disappointing. It was when that was a blow to Las Vegas fans when we truly knew it was truly over. When they decided, we'll just go ahead and do another Vegas show. Nobody will remember that other Vegas show. We'll just do what other Vegas show? And it probably was a slap in the face of GST and the Las Vegas crew too, because they somehow magically managed to find money to somehow magically create another working casino and somehow managed to keep it running for, now, mind you, I think it only ran for a season, but that's because this Vegas wasn't particularly good. But he did an episode of that Vegas, so there's that connection. He was in Don John as the priest. That's a great movie. He was in Plain Sight for 58 episodes. That's where you might know him. He was Stan McQueen in that. He did Children's Hospital, another Children's Hospital alum coming back. More CSI in New York. He was in Venus and Vegas in 2010. I don't know what that was, but another Vegas connection. He was in The Mentalist. Everybody Hates Chris again for 8 episodes as Coach Thurman. Again, you might know him from that. He was in Entourage as Alan Gray, another one of my favorite shows. Great show, and he was great in it. That's probably where I first recognized him, was in Entourage, because I've seen Entourage a ton. He was in The Wire. He was in Las Vegas in this episode as Michael. He did Drive, another alum of Drive. John from Cincinnati for 8 episodes. He was in Shark with James Woods, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Fastlane, again, another Fastlane alum. He was in Crossing Jordan as Theo, superintendent, for an episode. Same universe, different character. He also was in The Invisible Man with Vincent Ventresca, one of our other VIP guest stars, for 45 episodes. He played Robert Albert Hobbs in that series from 2000 to 2002. He was in, again, I told you Michael Chiklis was going to be a co-star of his. He was in the Three Stooges TV movie with Michael Chiklis and Evan Handler, and he played Mo. Hey, Mo. Nya, nya. Which, by the way, really pays off here. This movie came out, the made for TV, and I remember that movie too. I specifically remember that movie because of Michael Chiklis. It says Michael Chiklis, who was Michael Chiklis? Chiklis had to have been Curly. Chiklis had to have been Curly. It was fine for a TV movie. It was fine for a TV movie, I'll say that. He was in Brooklyn South as Steve Richards. He was in NYPD Blue again as Steve Richards. This is all within the course of from 94 to about 98. He was in Sixth Man with Marlon Wayans and Kadeem Hardison. He was in Metro with Eddie Murphy. He was in Sibs with Jamie Gertz in 92. You can find episodes of that on YouTube. It is meh. It is meh. But he was in the game. He was in Cool World as the valet in 92, if you remember that movie. The New Adam 12. He did a Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen movie called The Rookie in 1990. He did an episode of Doogie Howser. He also did Dragnet in 1990. That's not the Ed O'Neill version. That's whatever version. Oh, I think that was an episode. So I didn't know that they had another Dragnet show in 1990, but apparently they did. He was in China Beach, which was pretty big in the late 80s. His first credited role was in a movie with Melissa Gilbert in Blood Vows, the story of a mafia wife, back in 1987. That also sounds cheese-tacular. I would love to see that. That is Paul Ben Victor. Paul Ben Victor is joined by his buddy Vincent Ventresca. Vincent Ventresca, his latest credit was in The Neighborhood as Throckmorton, which is still that tie-in with that other show that Paul Ben was involved in that I talked about before. That's all tied in. They're tied in together a lot through their career. Before that, Vinny did The Rookie for an episode. He did Criminal Minds. He did 911, which is a big show somehow, for some reason. Remember that John Larroquette show with Bobby Moynihan called Me, Myself, and I? Great concept, terrible execution. He was in an episode of that. He was in The Fosters. He was in Nashville. He was in Rizzoli and Isles. He did Franklin and Bash with Mark Paul Gosselaar, Breckin Meyer, and Heather Locklear. He was in Psych for one episode as James Earl Craig. He did CSI. He did a bunch of CSIs. CSI, the original one, he was Connor Durman for 2 episodes. They forgot how to spell his name in between the episodes. He was in CSI New York. He was in Bad Actress with Beth Broderick, which makes me kind of want to see it just because I like Beth Broderick. Shit My Dad Says, again, is coming up somehow. I don't know how. The Mentalist, again, stuck. He was in Plain Sight, which, again, pops up. There's that connection. Another Monk connection. Are you kidding me? Here. He was in Complete Savages for 16 episodes, which was a sitcom, executive produced, and occasionally recurring starring Mel Gibson. Kids, look that one up. He was in a show with Jeremy Sisto, Bianca Lawson, called Dead and Breakfast. I think that may have been a movie as the Doc. And so that just the Jeremy Sisto and Bianca Lawson, I kind of want to see that now. He was another Vegas. He was in CSI Miami as a different character. He was in Vegas Dick, a TV movie with Katherine Heigl, just after he was on this episode of Las Vegas as Elliot. By the way, Vincent is the tall one. Paul is the short one. Elliot is the tall one. Michael is the short one. He was in Cold Case. He was in The Invisible Man for 45 episodes as Darian Fawkes, Fawkes, along with Paul Ben. Boy, we should come back to that in just a second. He was in a show with Deborah Messing called Prey as Dr. Ed Tate for 13 episodes. Boston Common, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. In 97, you might know him, a lot of you millennials might know him best as Fun Bobby on Friends. He was on Friends for 2 episodes. He also was on a show with Timothy Osmondson, a.k.a. Lassie from Psych, called Medicine Ball in 1995. He was in Diagnosis Murder. He was on Monty with Henry Winkler back in 94. Vincent also did Blossom. He did Empty Nest as a cop. And he also did Almost Home with Brittany Murphy. Look that show up. That's an interesting show. That's an interesting show. Look it up. His first credit was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as Alex in 1991. That's Vincent Ventresca. The connection between these guys is immense. You see, they were co-stars in The Invisible Man, Vincent and Paul Ben, and Greg Yaitanes, a.k.a. the director of this episode, also directed various episodes from that series. And Greg read the script for this episode, and it called on 2 lifelong buddies, and he immediately thought of Paul and Vincent, because those two, they're friends. They like each other, and we like them in this show. That's fantastic. So Gary Scott Thompson didn't know who they were, but he looked at their faces, he looked at their look, recognized them, and knew they could pull it off. So there's no connection with the Invisible Man in this episode. However, just looking at them, GST saw what we all see, and that's lifelong friends coming together. And that's readily apparent as soon as they come on screen. So as we come to the casino floor, we see the boys immediately talking to Sam as they are about to get ready to sit and play some blackjack. Turns out that's not the table that they like to sit in. They like to start their hand sitting at table 44. And so Sam has to go to Nessa and try to get them the table that they want. And we cut back to them and we see them goofing off as if they're still 15, because they're still 15. Did I tell you that Paul Ben playing Mo is going to come in handy? It's going to come in handy. Just wait for it. We are barely getting started with them. In the meantime, as Nessa is moving through the casino, she's immediately stopped by someone with a heart tattoo on her hand. Oh my, it's Shelly again, Alana de la Garza. We don't know her name at this point. This time in a blonde, terrible, horrible wig. This time she's asking Nessa, because Nessa clearly works there, about a lost and found. She's looking for a diamond earring. Now, in this one, she's looking for something very generic that a lot of women have. You know, half a carat with a gold stem. You know, just a general ring or a general earring that she could just take. You know, it's like, it's the most generic thing you could probably get from a lost and found in a place like Vegas. Like, it's like asking, the only other generic thing would probably be a black purse. You know, a black clutch would probably be the only other generic thing that you could probably get. As Alana de la Garza, a.k.a. Shelly, who we'll find out later, meets Nessa, pause the video that you're watching it on, if you can pause it, if you're not watching the replay. Immediately, as you see Alana's face, you know who else you see? Check the background. You see somebody else. Check the background. Just check. Just look. Just do a quick look of the entire screen when Alana meets Nessa. Now, Nessa's a little bit, she's not getting taken this exact same way that Delinda did, because it's not, first off, it's not hers to give. And secondly, while looking for the earring, the one that she pulls has a platinum stem, not a gold stem. So I could definitely see that trick working. I could definitely see that one, because how many gold-studded earrings are there? You know, diamond-studded earrings on a gold stem are there in the world? A ton. That's the general consensus of even the cheap cosmetic ones. Like, that's probably the most common earring in the world. So, you know, that's a good attempt, but it doesn't work on Nessa. In the meantime, Mike and Danny run into each other while walking the casino floor, and Danny tells Mike about Delinda trying to set him up on a date, and that he's asking if that's pathetic, a girl trying to set him up, and then here comes Mary talking about...
Dumps you and then pities you.
Hey, I am very capable of finding my own women. Thank you very much.
The one finding you?
Well, I think I hear cars honking. I'm going to get back to the valet.
And the look on her face, she is nervous. She knows she needs to talk to him. She wants to talk to him. She's waiting for him to step up. And Danny, he stammers and hummina, and the look on his face. This is going back to the last episode where Mary corners him in the hall and lays a passionate kiss on this boy's lips. She's been drawing his name on every piece of stationery she's had for at least a week, and all he can do is hum because he's young and stupid. That's what it's really about. It's young and stupid. Now, I can understand where some people are coming from. I've heard this recently from people as I'm continuing to explore what's left of the now growing, hopefully, Las Vegas community online. Is people talking about Mary and the resurgence of the conversation about Mary and her feelings towards Danny and how people feel about it now. I will say this to those people. They're genuine to Mary. And that's one more person at least. And I believe they're genuine to Danny too. I just believe that Danny doesn't know what to do with them at this point. But in any event, let's just say that they're only genuine to Mary. They're still genuine to one more person than they're genuine to in D&D. And I'll get off my soapbox for that one, because I'll just get off my soapbox. In the meantime, Mary runs into Cosme and Lenore again. And after Mary gave them a buffet pass to go and eat because Cosme blew all his money on the roulette table, other than, I guess, $5, they got to have more than just $5 because you can't do anything in Vegas in 2003 with only just walk up and down the strip over and over again. And I guess in November you kind of could do that. But Mary's trying to tell them other things that you can do in Vegas, including going to see the AAA ball team and art and museums and stuff like that. And they're giving us the story about how Cosme and Lenore came to Vegas to see Mr. Vegas himself.
And what better way to change your luck than a trip to Las Vegas to see Mr. Las Vegas himself, Wayne Newton.
And you see a gleam in Cosme's eye of Wayne Newton. We'll get to Wayne Newton when we actually get to Wayne Newton. But right now, they're telling Mary about their story. And Mary, this is where the Montecito magic really comes into play, promises them that she is going to get them tickets to go see Mr. Vegas.
Why don't you take a little break?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're gonna stretch the legs, wash the face, refocus.
There you go.
You're listening to Rainy Days Don't Get Me Down by Anthony Njoku. If you like what you're hearing, want to hear it again, hear more, or both, just go to tinyurl.com/anjoku. That's tinyurl.com/anjoku. We then immediately go to Mystique as Michael and Elliot are waiting for their table, for Sam to get their table ready. They're going to go to Mystique and have a drink or two and or maybe something to eat. And these guys place a bet, an immediate bet on a waitress. Now, this is a bet that cannot take place on primetime television in 2024, but it's taking place right here. In the newly constructed Mystique, the waitress is being asked by Michael and Elliot about the shape of her bust. Bust, B-U-S-T, her top, her pectoral regions. Now, this is an interesting trade-off here. And the camera angles are just kooky and not quite Batman-esque, but the important thing that I'm keeping a note on is the way these guys describe her and their scenario. One really compliments her figure and talks about her beautiful, exquisite. Well, listen.
My friend and I, we just made a little wager.
I'm saying those fabulous curves of yours there, those magnificent, spectacular breasts are store-bought.
And I believe that your lovely hooters are all natural.
Like, one is backhand complimenting they're both, I guess, backhand complimenting what they assume to be the creator of this woman's physique, whether it's a doctor or Mother Nature. So it's a very weird thing, and they didn't want to pay her the speaking fee, so they just have her smile and nod and slap the taste out of both their mouths at the same time. Meanwhile, Sam, just after Sam basically nods her approval that can happen. So while the boys discuss who won their bet, Sam says, I think that's a push. As Michael and Elliot are offending that poor waitress in Mystique, the song that can be overheard on the speakers above them is a song called Okay, It's Sunday by James Combs. Okay, It's Sunday by James Combs is the song that can be heard above their head in Mystique on All Incarnations. And we get a great Las Vegas hard cut to Danny walking the pool area, and he almost gets this radar. And guys, you know what this radar is. This attractive person, for the most part, we'll say girl, in the vicinity area. And this is Danny in Vegas, all right? He's been around attractive girls before, but there's something about this one in his purview, and this is how innate this sense is. As he looks to the pool to see our dear Alana de la Garza swimming, as we whoosh over to the pool, most of her is in the water. Most of her is in the water. Most of her is submerged. There's nothing, even if you were looking directly in her direction, you really couldn't see anything at that point. But there was something in him that made him say, turn now. And he looked over, and we see Alana de la Garza coming out of a pool in a fantastic black bikini that looks better in high def. And I will tell you this, as we get to this part, we are, of course, sitting on a musical cue. If you're watching this in the original version and on the DVD, as she gets out of the pool, you will hear, of course, Slowly by Max Sledgley, which is a fantastic song. It's been on my playlist since probably before I saw this, but definitely after I saw it. It's a great song. It's a fantastic song. Add it to your Las Vegas playlist at your discretion. As you're watching this on Peacock, and as you're watching this on Amazon, and probably Tubi, because I found out that they're also doing it on Tubi as well, you will hear I Am Wildfire by Deborah Williams. Not a bad song. Again, we get to this scenario where it's not a bad song. I like the song. It's on my Vegas playlist. But it's not Slowly. It's not Max Sledgley Slowly. And that was so perfect on this scene. It was so perfect. It worked so well. And then somewhere along the line, Max's lawyers couldn't talk to his, label's lawyers, couldn't talk to NBC's lawyers, couldn't talk to each other's lawyers. And now we had the song replaced. It's a fine song. It's in terms of scale of songs that fit on a scene like, first off, there are a ton of other songs, but if we have these two songs, if we have to choose between these two songs, I am still always, and forever gonna choose Slowly by Max Sledgley. I Am Wildfire is fine, but I Am Wildfire sounds more like a song you would hear in like a shampoo commercial, but it's fine. It's still fine, but it's not the same. It's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. In any event, as you're watching, we see Alana de la Garza come out of the most pristine water you've ever seen. It was probably cleaned up by her, but just her essence being in the same vicinity of that pool just clean it up. And we get another shot of, we'll just say, the heart shape on her tattoo. And yes, even her feet as they come out of the pool. No, I'm not going to kink shame you. And we see her walking slowly to her towel, and she looks over at Danny, but more specifically, she looks over at his very expensive watch. So immediately as she comes out of the pool, in comes this guy grabbing her hand. And Danny immediately comes in on his horse, the White Knight, and saves her from this guy who definitely looks like he is posing some kind of threat to Alana de la Garza. He even calls her
I could have swore she was just another Vegas pool bitch.
Who is this guy? I hear you asking. Who's acting like such a... what's the word for it? Douche? Yeah, he's acting like that. His name, the actor's name, is Kevin Alejandro. We will later find out that this guy's name is Ray Duran, the guy he's playing. But the actor's name is Kevin Alejandro. You may most recently have seen him in Fire Country. He did 32 episodes of that show, which is still going on right now. He did The Lost Husband, which was a movie in 2020 with Leslie Bibb and, is that correct? Josh Duhamel! In 2020, they reunited and did that. He was also in Smile, a short in 2019. Not the movie, but a short in 2019 as The Tooth Fairy. He did 3 episodes of Grey's Anatomy as Dan Pruitt. Yeah, really, Dan, that's interesting. He did the TV movie Clementine as Charlie Matson. He was in Arrow for 12 episodes as Sebastian Blood. He starred alongside Chi McBride in Golden Boy as Detective Christian Arroyo. He did True Blood for 26 episodes as Jesus Velasquez. You True Blood fans definitely know who he is, because you True Blood fans you guys run deep. He was in Breakout Kings for an episode. He starred alongside Carla Gugino, who was the original girlfriend in Spin City, in a TV movie called Hyde as Detective Bobby Dodge. He did Southland for 17 episodes as Nate Moretta. He was in SVU for an episode, tie-in with Alana. He was Dane Northcutt in Psych. I remember that episode of Psych. That was a really good episode that he was in. He was in The Mentalist again. Oh my goodness. By the way, you would think there would be more Psych connections to this show. For some reason, I thought there would be, but there are some already, and I'm sure we'll see some more later. He did 4 episodes of Weeds as Rodolfo. I don't remember, though. That was 2008. That seems to be like the later episodes of Weeds, which is very forgettable. He did an episode of Heroes as Agent Jenkins, same universe. He was a Knight Rider, same universe. Allegedly, as Victor Galt, that Knight Rider, GST's not, that Knight, yes, he was in The Cleaner with Benjamin Bratt for an episode. He did an episode of Burn Notice. He also did an episode of Shark. He was in Strange Wilderness with Steve Zahn. He was in Ugly Betty for 8 episodes. He was also in Drive for 6 episodes as Winston Salazar. Again, we got the Drive connection. He did NCIS, CSI Miami. He did Big Love. He did JAG, CSI New York. Young and the Restless for 15 episodes as Dominic Hughes. Soap opera connection again. He also was in Dr. Vegas in 2004 alongside Rob Lowe and Tom Sizemore and Sarah Lancaster. That's interesting. For an episode. He was in this episode of Las Vegas. He was in Crossing Jordan that same year as Connor Marshall, same universe, different person. And the first credited role that he had was on a TV series called The Keepers. I couldn't get a year, but he played Caden on that show. I'm guessing that's around 2003-ish, maybe 2002. He also directed and produced about 9 of the projects that I listed above, including the Firefighter one. You may know him best. I know him best. And I didn't know I knew him until I came back and watched this again. And I said, as soon as I saw his face on a rewatch of this recently, I said the same thing that I am sure I would bet money. Black I see black. I would put money on it. Not red I see red. Black I see black. I would put money on it that you guys recognize him also. And you probably said, most of you probably said the same thing I said when I saw him again on this rewatch. 2 words. Detective Douche. He was on Lucifer as your and my favorite Detective Douche. Yes. He was Dan Espinosa. Detective Dan Douche Espinosa. Also William McKinnon, but that's a whole body switching thing. Don't worry about that. If you're a Lucifer fan, you know that's Detective Douche. And boy, is he playing a douche in this episode in more ways than just harassing Alana de la Garza. But he is, in fact, at this point, harassing Alana de la Garza, at least to Danny, and at least to us as the viewer, until we continue to watch. And in the meantime, Danny tells Alana, as he goes back to see if she's okay.
What did you say to him?
Just told him we're getting married tomorrow.
Well, that doesn't give us much time to get acquainted. I'm Shelley.
Danny.
Oh my. Oh my. This is an interesting development for a young man who's confused about his romantic prospects to come across. And of course, only the great and powerful, ultra sexy, ultra dreamy Danny McCoy in this universe could come across such an opportunity just by walking by. Again, self-insert, but listen, that's the life, that is the charmed life that this guy is leading. All because Alana de la Garza really did con. Nessa didn't have to offer, but she did offer. So she sprinkled a little Montecito magic where it didn't belong. She told Alana de la Garza, a.k.a. Shelley, as we're just finding out now, that she'll comp her an extra night stay here at the Montecito. One other thing of note here, as we're sitting at this pool by with Danny and Shelley, the background music, and I turn up, you may not hear this depending on what level you're playing the show at, but when I'm looking for different music, I turn the volume up a lot on this so I can hear it properly. One thing I heard as they're sitting there talking about their quote-unquote wedding plans by the pool is it sounded like slot machines in the background, so it sounds like with the background music that they slid in, they kind of either automatically slid in slot machine background noise that, they normally play. You hear the same sounds over and over again if you watch it enough. The same cheers, the same, slot noise, robot noises, and same dealer calls, etc. You hear those kind of over and over again. But you hear the slot playing in the background, and they are into the pool. You are not hearing the slot machines from outside in Vegas at all. I don't have slot. You're not hearing that, but that's something I picked up on as I was hearing this. I was like, why is there a slot machine? Why do I hear slot machines during this steamy scene? Somebody missed something somewhere. Anyway, so we come back to the boys in the casino, and they are finally sitting at their table. Table 44, and everything is in order. Sam is about to leave them to their devices and ready to go ahead and play away at the Montecito. And before she can get more than 3 steps away, they stop her because something's not right.
Wait. Something's off. Did you guys change the stools?
The stools? No. I don't think so. Did we?
We may have rotated a few for routine maintenance.
I think maybe you have, because our stools are green. Am I right?
I'm afraid he is.
Yeah, we can't play on these.
No.
I'll call facilities management.
Please call
There you go.
facilities
And
management.
meanwhile, maybe you two would like to...
Go get a Rudy's chili burger? Yes, we would! Yes!
And in the meantime, while they're waiting for the seats to change, they're going to get chili cheeseburgers from Rudy's. Now, looked up Rudy's, didn't see anything for it. I don't know if it existed at all in Vegas in 2003, but it doesn't now. In the meantime, Sam is going to get them a driver, except they don't like drivers. They want Sam to drive. They don't trust professional limo drivers, but only Sam can drive them. Even though Sam doesn't like to drive, she is gonna go the extra mile for her clients, and she will meet them back there at 5. Now, meanwhile, this is the wrong time for Mary to come to Sam for anything, even if Sam could help her. But Sam really can't help her because Mary just wants tickets for Wayne Newton, and it turns out Sam doesn't have tickets for Wayne Newton at this point. So Sam can't help Mary. Mary is SOL, even though Mary is trying to help Cosme and Lenore, unfortunately. And his dream is to meet Wayne Newton, but that's not going to happen. This is one of those great scenes in Las Vegas, by the way, where everything is happening, everything is moving at basically the same time. It's really one continuous shot from one angle to the other. They're making the most out of the space that they have between Michael and Elliot and Sam meeting Mary and Mary going back around and just missing Danny with Alana de la Garza. Thank goodness she just missed them, by the way. But just missing Danny with Alana de la Garza, and then they stop, and then Delinda sees Danny, but she doesn't quite recognize Alana de la Garza because now Alana Shelley is in her regular hair color. Delinda starts to walk, and Alana decides that she needs to go and quote-unquote get some chapstick from the gift shop, and she'll be right back. In the meantime, Danny is definitely smitten, and I understand why. Listen, if you're going to be confused, listen, I was never one in this shipper love triangle to choose Delinda over Mary. If I were in Danny's situation, I'd have chose Mary every day of the week and 5 times on Sunday. But I will tell you this. If there's one, not to take anything away from Delinda, but Mary is Mary. Nikki Cox, prime Nikki Cox, 2003, is amazing. I will tell, and Mary herself is just so sweet and loving. And we've gone over the differences. I will say this, though. If there's anything to confuse a young man's thoughts of who he wants to be with and what direction romantically he wants to go, it is primetime Alana de la Garza. It is 2003, 2004 Alana de la Garza. That will fry your circuits. I'm surprised he's even able to tie his shoes properly at this point. In any event, Alana goes to get the chapstick, and Danny and Delinda talk things over about the friends that want to meet Danny. Now, mind you, she did say friends, so that's a few different options. He doesn't know what those options are. Essentially, he's playing kind of romantic, not Deal or No Deal. He's kind of playing romantic, let's make a deal at this point, right? Door number Delinda is gone, right? But door number Delinda also leads to another mystery box. So essentially, he's got door number 1 is Mary. Mary's always number 1 because she was first. Door number 1 is Mary. Door number 2 is Delinda. Delinda closed that door. That's not happening. But he has the box. He can also take the box of what comes from past not getting door number Delinda. But also, there's now door number 3, who's Alana de la Garza. And door number 3 is looking mighty tempting. He doesn't know what's in the box. He doesn't know we'll find out what's in the box too. He doesn't know what's in the box. He knows what's in door number 1. And he doesn't feel like he's ready for that responsibility right now. He's gotten a peek at door number 3. He doesn't know what's in the box. He's taking his chances on Alana de la Garza. And listen, I don't particularly blame, not knowing anything else, I don't particularly blame him for being confused. Let's see how that works out for him. In the meantime, Delinda's talking about, maybe going on a double date with them, etc. And she walks away. And there's something that's been happening to Delinda in these last couple of episodes. She is looking mighty nice. She's looking mighty nice, but we're talking primetime Alana de la Garza. Anyway, we shoot back to Michael and Elliot in the elevator bay. This episode's going by pretty fast. In the elevator bay, and they're sitting and waiting, as opposed to being out in valet, waiting for Sam and the limo to go get their burgers that they said that they crave so much. And then they place a bet on which elevators open first. $10,000 these guys are betting on each other on something as stupid as which elevator is opening first in the elevator bay as they're sitting and waiting. And they both open, and both claim that the elevators open at their time, that they won, and they want Sam to get security to check the camera to see which one opened first. You don't need to go to security, boys. I'll tell you which one opened first. It was Paul Ben Victor's that opened first. The short one. His that opened first. Just barely, but it does open first. And you can hear the two dings. They're not simultaneous things. One does open ahead of the other one. It's Paul Ben's. In any event, Sam is just like, okay, fine, we'll do it. Yes, we'll do it. Anything to make you guys happy. And they start walking and they pass by a sign for Laughlin, Nevada, in just outside the elevator bay.
Sam?
Let's keep moving.
How far is it to Laughlin?
About 100 miles.
100 miles?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Why?
I say Sam gets there and back in under 3 hours.
Yeah, except for I'm not doing any illegal driving, so...
50,000 says we hit traffic and don't make it back for at least 3+ hours.
I'll take that bet. Sam?
Yes?
We're going to Laughlin. Road trip.
Keep in mind, Sam doesn't like to drive. Sam was only driving them so they can get their stupid burgers and come back to the stupid casino and lose all their stupid money on the stupid blackjack table. But they're going to press her, and we're going on a road trip. They're going to Laughlin. You can see the threads that are holding Sam's brain together starting to fray just a little bit. You can see her losing her patience. Hold on a second. Let's get a new deck in here, and we'll be right back.
I assume you're interested in large amounts of money.
It's Vegas, who isn't?
If you like the podcast and you want to help support it, you can send a Cash App, join our Patreon or Subscribe Star, or buy us a coffee. Just search The Podecito on all those platforms. We cut immediately to what is one of the most adorable, amazing, cute scenes in a show full of them. When they dripped up Cosme and they dripped to put that whole scenario together with Mary, it's just a cute overload. Mary meets
Wayne Newton.
Where?
Oh my God. This is beyond amazing. I've lived here my entire life and I've never run into you. I've seen your show, of course, like 5-6 times at least, but to run into you.
In the Wayne Newton Theater, who would have thought of that?
Wayne Newton's last credited role was in an episode of Hacks in 2022. Good show, at least the first 2 seasons. I haven't seen the latest one, but the first couple seasons were really good. I liked it. He was in Sharknado, the TV movie, in 2016. Sharknado 4, The Fourth Awakens, in 2016, was his last credit. Before that, he was in Still the King with Joey Lauren Adams and Billy Ray Cyrus for an episode in 2016. Andrew Dice Clay in Dice, he joined him for an episode. He was also in Hoodwinked 2, Hood vs. Evil, as Jimmy Ten Strings. He was a voice in that. He was also a voice in Fallout New Vegas as Mr. New Vegas. Why not? He's Mr. Vegas. He was in a Rascal Flatts music video, Why Wait? He was in Smokin' Aces with Ben Affleck. He did 3 episodes of Las Vegas, which is why Wayne Newton is not in the running for VIP guest star. He was in this episode, Coyote Ugly, in 2006, and Meatball Montecito, also in 2006. He was in Seventh Heaven, a 2-part episode of My Wife and Kids. He joined Kim Basinger in Elvis Has Left the Building, according to Jim. He did a whole bunch of sitcoms, especially ABC sitcoms, loved to send their cast to Vegas in the 90s and 2000s. Now, they kind of stopped doing it in the early 2000s, around about the time Vegas became cool again, but they loved sending their cast to Vegas in the 90s when Vegas wasn't really cool for some reason. And when they did that, a lot of them cast Wayne Newton in those roles. He was in a bunch of them, according to Jim. Full House, Roseanne. He did a Mr. Bill Vegas short. He also did an episode of The Pretender again. Ally McBeal again coming back. Elvis Meets Nixon. Elvis apparently was a really good friend of Wayne Newton, and why not? They were both Vegas royalty. Why not? He did, like I said, Fresh Prince. He did Renegade for 2 episodes. The Lorenzo Lamas Show in the 90s. Tales from the Crypt, where he played somebody other. See, his credits aren't all just playing Wayne Newton. He played somebody else in Tales from the Crypt. Of all shows, that's interesting. Wayne Newton in a Tales of the Crypt episode, that's interesting. He also did a show with Andrew Dice Clay, Robert Englund, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger, Gilbert Gottfried, Ed O'Neill, Lauren Holly, and Priscilla Presley. He did this movie called The Adventures of Ford Fairlane in 1990 as Julian Grindle. He also fulfilled a lifelong dream of his by being in License to Kill as Professor Joe Butcher in 1989. His first few credits on TV are in Lucy shows. So, he did Bonanza as well in 1966, but he also did Here's Lucy for 2 episodes, and he did The Lucy Show in 1965. That's his first credited role on television, not counting performances on like talk shows, etc. Here's how good Wayne Newton is and how I can believe he would give these tickets to Cosme and his wife. Following Dana Plato's first arrest in 91, Wayne Newton posted her $13,000 bail. It's said that Wayne Newton was discovered by Jackie Gleason. However, it's also said that he was discovered by Julius Bookie Levin, who managed a talent agency and started the lounge show business in Las Vegas, which is where Wayne Newton was a resident for so many years in Vegas. And at this point, I believe, in tracking down where he was a resident at the time that this took place, he was probably, from what I could gather, doing a residency at the Stardust. He declared bankruptcy in 92, yet was once listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest paid entertainer, world's highest paid entertainer, yet filed for bankruptcy. When you're getting that kind of money, all that stuff is different. That's a whole different ball game. Because of his high-pitched voice, many joked wrongly that he was effeminate or even gay, to the point where Wayne Newton had to threaten Johnny Carson to get him to stop telling jokes about it, and Johnny shut up. I don't know how he got Johnny to shut up, but he got Johnny to shut up. He and Tony Orlando, another Vegas staple, were in some legal altercations with each other. Tony Orlando sued Wayne Newton for locking him out of the Branson, Missouri nightclub that the two of them both owned back in 1999. Wayne Newton did a lot of work with the USO, traveling overseas. The street leading up to the front of Las Vegas's McCarran Airport is called Wayne Newton Boulevard and has been for the last 20 years or so. His estate is called Casa de Shenandoah on the southeast side of Vegas. His signature song, Dankeschön, is German for thank you very much. So when he says Dankeschön, darling, Dankeschön, thank you, he's saying thank you very much, darling, thank you. In any event, he is met with the ultra adorable, ultra sweet, ultra caring Mary Connell backstage, and she just starts babbling to him. And Wayne is used to it. He's used to fans coming at him and telling them stories about how they love him and how they've met him and everything. But then she gets it together. Big girl pants. I'm Mary Connell, Special Events Director for the Montecito. And she tells the story about how she needs tickets to his show. And she just can't... Well, before she does that.
Listen, Mr. Newton, I know that...
Wayne, please, Wayne.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, come on. How do you not love Mary? How could you not love Mary? She's just so sweet. And she's been around people with much... She's just starstruck with Wayne Newton, but she's still trying to get it together. She knows she's got to deliver on these tickets. She's giving it her best shot. And so she is pleading with Wayne Newton to just... 2 tickets is all she needs. And Wayne Newton is more than happy to oblige. And she walks away, and then she turns around and gives a curtsy. She gives a curtsy. For crying out loud. So we go from the cutest thing you'll see all day until you see more of this episode to maybe one of the steamiest things you'll see all day until you see more of this episode. We'll later find out that they are in Club Peel, Danny and Shelley, in the Palms Hotel. I couldn't find anything on this Club Peel at the Palms. Couldn't find anything on Google. Maybe it was there in 2003 with no record of it really online at all, which is weird, but I couldn't find anything. Maybe it's somewhere else, but I couldn't. Maybe I should check the Wayback Machine, but I couldn't find anything on it. I should probably check the Wayback Machine. Hold on. Yeah, I couldn't find anything on Club Peel at the Palms. Maybe it was there in 2003. I can't find anything on it now, even in the Wayback Machine. In any event, Danny and Shelley are hot and heavy in this club. Danny's not thinking about much. Shelley's thinking about her next score. She spots this bracelet on this woman that's walking in the club, and she immediately is thinking about her next score. Now, here's the thing about this. Looking at it on this screen, it kind of looks like a cheap costume jewelry to me, but Shelley's got an eye. She spotted Danny's ridiculously expensive watch that is somehow still on his wrist. I guess she wants to take it probably after sleeping with him. But here's another thing with this whole thing. Shelley, if you've noticed, Shelley has gone in a few times already in this episode. She's gone in on Delinda. She's gone in on Nessa. She's gone in on Danny. That's, by the way, 3 employees of the Montecito. She didn't know about the first one, but she knows about Nessa, She knew about Nessa immediately from looking at her, and she at this point, I'm sure she knows at least something about Danny. Even if she doesn't quite know that he works for security and surveillance, he has... Well, actually, maybe he didn't. We're going to get to that scene in a second. In the meantime, Shelly just came from the restroom where the young girl was with the bracelet, and now she needs Danny to do something before they get arrested.
You know what? I need you to do something before we both get arrested.
What's that?
Get us a room. Now.
And I don't blame him at all. Are you kidding? I don't blame him. Yes. I don't blame him at all. In the meantime, in that club, we gotta keep talking about these music cues. Yes, we do. In that club, in the original version, you're listening to a song called Don't Go by an artist called Roik Sop. Here's how I'll spell that. R-O with an umlaut, Y-K-S-O-P-P. The song is Don't Go by, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Roik Sop. All one word. With an umlaut over the O. The first one. Listen. So on the DVD, it's just random production music. On Peacock and Amazon, here's another difference. Again, the musical changes. You're listening to a song called Moonlight by Aaron Wheeler and Jamie Tovey. Jamyetovey. That's what you're listening to on Peacock and or Amazon. Moonlight by Aaron Wheeler and Jamie Tovey. Music rights are incredible. In the meantime, we cut to the Wayne Newton concert, and we're going to be mixing in with the Wayne Newton concert and Danny and Shelly back at the hotel room. This is a great mix the way they did it. Mary gets to watch the show from the aisle while Wayne Newton is singing a song. Cosme and Lenore are in the front row, and they're enjoying it. It's a small little venue, but it's great. And Wayne is doing Suspicious Minds. This is my favorite version of Suspicious Minds. Not going to lie, this is my favorite version. I love this version. It's fantastic. And Cosme's singing along, and we cut to the hotel room in the Montecito. So at this point, she has to know that Danny works, because I don't think they're... Well, maybe. I don't know where it looks like they might be in the Montecito. I don't think they're in the Palms. They probably are. I mean, they were at there for the nightclub. They probably are there for this. Anyway, they're getting down to business in the hotel room, and they are definitely getting down to business. The director, Greg, made great use of shadow in this scene to get past the network censors but keep the steam up. And young Josh Duhamel got paid for this, and this is what dreams are made of right here. Honestly, good for him. If there's anything that's going to confuse you, primetime Milano de la Garza, I don't blame him. Meanwhile, Wayne Newton is getting to work in the crowd. He's doing some crowd work. He's kissing the ladies. He's going Richard Dawson levels of kissing the women in the crowd as he's singing Suspicious Minds. Now, here's the thing about this version of Suspicious Minds I really like. I really like the breakdown from when Wayne brings the tempo down to the slow, sensual thing. I do like that. And the visual of that alongside Danny and Alana, Shelly, in the hotel room is a great visual that goes with it. It does work. It does really work. Meanwhile, Mary is just enchanted by seeing Wayne Newton give the mic to Cosme to allow him to sing as he's at the table.
Why can't you see? Sing that. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? What you're doing to me? You know this song, don't you? When you don't believe the words I'm saying. Hey, come on here. Come on. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? Here we go. The word I'm saying.
What is Montecito Magic if it's not this? What is Montecito Magic if it's not Cosme being brought up on the stage to sing with Mr. Vegas, his idol Wayne Newton, who he came there to sing with in the first place, and Cosme is just so starstruck. John's face is fantastic. He can't believe what's happening as Wayne Newton is gyrating his hips for him on stage, and the look on Lenore's face as she sees Cosme living out his dream on stage, because she mentioned how Cosme likes to sing Wayne Newton in the shower and how different it is, and they're on stage and Wayne Newton's doing his weird thing with his hands. I never understood that, and I don't get what that is. That must be some kind of inside joke or something. I don't get it. Or maybe Wayne Newton's just that corny. I don't know. But in any event, Cosme's up there singing with Wayne Newton, and Wayne is letting him finish the song, and it's a great finish he gives to this song. Meanwhile, Mary is sitting there watching, and she is talking to Johnny Justin, who says, this guy's great. And now Cosme's getting into it. He's doing the hip swivel and everything, and Wayne's getting into it. He's enjoying that. Cosme's enjoying it. They're having a great time on stage. This is a great show. If I were sitting there and I was watching this, I'd be jealous of Cosme. But I'm watching this whole thing, and Wayne Newton is giving him the end of this song, and John John's great. John John is great.
Suspicious minds, suspicious minds, suspicious minds.
Hats off to John John. This is fantastic. This John John, I'll tell you what, Wayne Newton's version is my favorite version as long as it ends with John John. As long as it ends with Cosme singing. And at the end of it, Cosme gives this little jump, this little excited hop at the end of it as he's doing it, because he's just so excited. He just lived out his dream. Oh, it's just the greatest, and the look on the Nor's face. Montecito magic. Montecito magic. In the meantime, Danny is, we'll just call it surveillance interruptus, as he gets a call from Ed, who tells him about a young lady in the restroom at Peel who got this sympathetic story from this girl in the restroom of Club Peel. Again, they mentioned the name. Must have been real at some point or something. Maybe it was, but not now. And Danny realizes who he's in bed with.
Anyway, the height, weight, everything matches that girl that ripped off to Linda.
Yeah, I'm all over it.
And part of it is the same sob story that Alana gave Nessa and gave Delinda and gave Danny all at the same time. Now she's giving it to Danny again. She's giving it to Danny again about the abusive boyfriend, about the guy that they met at the pool, and it's Ray Duran, and she owes him $8,000, and how she's gonna get it, and she's doing everything but crying. She's doing everything but pouring on full-blown waterworks to Danny right now. Now, Danny is at this point very confused. I don't know if at this point, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure at this point he still wants to believe it. He doesn't want to believe that this girl, this amazing girl, is a thief. That she's not perfect. She's not Mary. Anyway, Cosme meets his adoring fans, and they at the end of the show afterwards, and he meets with Johnny Justin, who is the talent booker for the Bella Sera.
I'm Johnny Justin, and I run the Bella Sera Lounge at the Montecito. You come in. First round's on me.
The bar that they hang out in, you know what the Bella Sera is. Anyway, Johnny Justin gives Cosme his card. Johnny Justin gives Cosme his card and tells him to come into the Bella Sera. The first drink is on him. Now, the card that Johnny Justin gives to Cosme has an address on it. You want to know where the Montecito is located in Las Vegas? It is located at the Mandalay Bay. That is the Mandalay Bay address. That is on Johnny Justin's card. The phone number that's on Johnny Justin's card is the phone number to Vegas.com. Now, Johnny Justin also puts an extension on there, 1243. You could probably talk to a quote-unquote Vegas insider. When you call it only gives you two options. It gives you option one to talk to a quote-unquote Vegas insider, or option two if you already have a reservation. So it's really just the Las Vegas, probably, phone number to call, and has been the phone number to call for X amount. It's a Las Vegas version of film phone, movie phone, where you just call to try to get reservations to whatever directly to the city of Vegas. So that's probably what it is. Or that is what it is. But I don't know if you can get a hold of extension 1243. I didn't get that far. You probably can't, but that's what it is. And Johnny Justin, that card that Johnny Justin gives to Cosme, guess what color it is?
You see? His card is red. My singing is bringing us good luck. What mong gagamitin ng iyong suspicious minds?
It's red. Cosme saw red. He sees red. He told you he saw red. What did he say? He sees red. With suspicious minds. Lenore said her husband's a dreamer. You can't pay the rent on dreams. Can you pay the rent at the Bella Sara? Can you pay the rent by seeing red though? Stick with that man. Stick with that man. We get back to Michael and Elliot. They got their green chairs and everything. Nessa is looking on at the whole scenario. And as you're watching this episode, and as you know what they're doing, what Michael and Elliot are doing in this episode, the facial expressions of Nessa take on a whole new meaning. She's doing more than just being the polite pit boss to some high rollers. She knows what they're doing. She knows. And you can see the look on her face as she's not compliant, not facilitating it, but she knows what they're doing. She's not assisting, but she's not detracting. She knows what they're doing. They get their green chairs, they sit at the table, and they ask...
Except where's Julio? It's not Julio. Julio always deals out firsthand.
Who's Julio?
Who's Julio?
Just the greatest blackjack dealer on the strip. I mean, this guy used to deal cards for Bugsy Siegel. I'm sorry, Sam. I thought you knew he always deals our first hand.
Yeah, you gotta find Julio. Yeah.
Julio retired last year.
Yes, I will find Julio.
And Sam immediately says, yes, I will find. She is, you can see her, that rope, what'd I say? That rope that's holding her brain together is fraying slowly, and then you see a smile from Nessa. Again, Nessa knows what they're doing.
Why don't you take a little break?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You gotta stretch the legs, wash the face, refocus.
There you go.
You're listening to Whole Vibe from Jesse Evans' album Space Jam. If you like what you're hearing, you want to hear more, hear it again, or both, just go to tinyurl.com/EvansVibe. That's tinyurl.com/EVANSVIBE.
No mic, but I'm shooting and I'm back with a full clip. Pay attention to the flows I'm delivering. Cut off of my bros to my hoes.
Danny and Ed go over Shelly's story. You can tell that Ed is disappointed a bit. They go over Ray Duran's rap sheet. They try to go over Shelly's, but they can't find anything unless Shelly is not her real name. In any event, Danny is getting his balls busted a bit by Ed. Right? As Ed says, I'm sure you'd like to think that. And as Ed leaves the room, he says, "Isn't that right, lover boy?" Right? So Ed goes in to talk to Shelly, if that's her real name. And Ed and Shelly have a talk about the pieces that don't seem to fit for Ed. Ed doesn't quite understand how one thing is supposed to work one way. He talks about how the woman that Shelly took for the money in the lounge, that was Delinda, his daughter, as you well know, and she now well knows. And in my travels and dealing with people, I can kind of tell by this point, as strikingly beautiful as she is, her beauty has gotten her a long ways, by the way, I'm sure. But the way she's acting, the cadence of her voice, you can kind of tell how BS the story is. You can kind of tell how BS her rap is through this whole thing, especially the bigger it's getting, now that it's involving more people in one portion of it. Ed, by this point, can definitely tell. And one would think by this point Danny can tell, but we'll see in a minute. Sam goes to find Julio, and she does, in the old folks' home. And Julio's getting fed, and he's got some pasta on his mouth, and is barely moving, barely moves his head over to one side to even talk to... He's not even talking. He's just listening to Sam try to get him back into the casino, and Sam says she'll take that as a yes. And we cut back to the surveillance room where Danny spots Ray Durant in the casino using a light wand. Ray Durant is still here, still trying to cause trouble. Even after the pool incident, he's still here, still trying to cause trouble. Like, how? Like, at what point do you just, like, lay low for a minute? That point might be when you get spotted by Danny and are about to get chased out of the casino for using a light wand on the slot machines. And that's where Douche decides it's time to go. And so, as soon as he sees Danny, he decides he's going to take off a little bit, tries to jog, then tries to run, tries to cause a little bit of chaos on his way out, and turns a corner and immediately hits a change cart. And then literally gets Danny's boot on his neck to hold him down for the rest of security. Literally, his foot on his neck.
We have a winner.
Then we go to interrogation, where we get Danny questioning Durant about why he's still there, and Durant gives the same story, essentially. Shelly owes him money and everything. And here's where we get a good example of bad cop, good cop.
Dude, you had a light wand on you.
I didn't use it.
Well, that doesn't really matter, see.
Whoa, man.
What? I didn't use it, but it's legal.
And much like the conversation Ed had with Shelly about Shelly owing Durant the money, and Ed saying, well, so if we just pay what you owe, then you guys will leave the Montecito forever, never knocking the doorstep again. Durant basically gives the same speech, and Ed says, okay, fine. Danny, give him your watch. And Danny doesn't want to give him the watch.
I'm not giving... You give him your watch.
Danny doesn't want to give him the watch. He for sure doesn't want to give him the watch. He said, you give him your watch. I'm not giving him my... Listen, good on Danny. Good on Danny. Danny doesn't want to give him the watch. But at this point, Ed just tells him, give me the watch. So Ed gives Douche the watch and says he doesn't want to see him in the Montecito ever again. After telling him how much the watch is allegedly worth, $12,000. In 2003 money, that's a ton. That's a ton. In any event, Douche leaves with the watch. Danny's pissed and slams the door behind him. And we whoosh down the strip, again back into the casino, and we see Julio standing there like a statue. And this scene... By the way, we didn't talk about him before. Let's talk about him right now. We're talking about Don Perry, of course, who played Julio. Don Perry, born March 13th, 1931. Don Perry's last credited role was as juror number 8 in Hot in Cleveland in 2011. He played in Southland Old Man in 2011. By the way, if you look at Don Perry's IMDb, a lot of his credits are either old man, old timer, grandpa, pops. That's his credits. There's a lot of credits as old man. He's literally old man, including, but not limited to, he was in 10 Items or Less back in 2006. That was the TBS show, not the movie. The movie was better, but the TBS show wasn't bad. He was Customer. He was Mr. Perry. And then he got downgraded again away from his name back to Man with a Walker in the 3 episodes he was in on that show. He was in 2 episodes of Weeds. He was in Old Man. He was Old Man in 1 episode of Carpoolers, rather, the Jerry O'Connell show back in 2007. He was Old Man again in Choose Connor. He was in My Name is Earl as Judge Miller for a couple episodes. Rules of Engagement, The OC as Old Man. He was in Las Vegas for 2 episodes. Yes, he was. However, he counts as a VIP guest star because he played 2 different characters. He is Julio here in this episode. And then in season 2, Magic Carpet Fred, he is Croupier Clarence. So, completely different character. So, we count him as a VIP star candidate. He was in Yes Dear. He was in Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous as Buster Harrison. He was in Joey as Pop Pop. He was in That 70s Show as Older Man and Ed in 2 episodes. My Wife and Kids, another My Wife and Kids alum alongside Mr. Vegas. He was in Monk. Both of those as Old Man. He was in Malcolm in the Middle, also as Old Man. He was in The West Wing as Muriel Keith. I remember that episode quite well. He was in Titus as Jack in 2000. Titus is a great show. I love Titus. It's on DVD. Get the DVDs. Fantastic. All 3 seasons. Love it. He was alongside Jason Priestley in Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, a TV movie. He was alongside Laurie Bridges, Josh Charles, favorite actor of mine, Alexandra Wentworth, good comedic actress in Meeting Daddy. He was in the Untouchables TV movie as Seymour. Jennifer Love Hewitt in Time of Your Life, the Party of Five spinoff. He was in Maggie as Old Man, Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. He was in ER for 2 episodes as, again, same character, 2 different episodes. Sam Breedlove, Dr. Sam Breedlove, and then Dr. Stan Breedlove. Again, these writers, get a writer's Bible. He was in Everybody Loves Raymond. He was in The Pretender as well. Caroline in the City, Drew Carey Show as Mimi's granddad, Grandpa Bobek. He was in Home Improvement, again as Old Man. He was in Kirk, again as Old Man. The Kirk Cameron Show. His first credit was in 1982 as gas station attendant. That is Don Perry. Don Perry unfortunately passed away at the young age of 81 back in November of 2012. Here he is, Julio. He is barely moving. He is barely breathing. And Michael and Elliot are determined to get at least their first hand dealt by Julio as a good luck charm here. And at this point, Sam has gone to her limit. She is looking at Julio and seeing him barely be able to move. And he says his first line here.
Marker 10,000.
Attaboy, Julio. Thank you. There you go.
It's so sad. It is so. If I didn't know the ending of this, this would be terrible. This would be all. This would be. What are you laughing at? Well, I did laugh at the time. I did. I was like, this. I laughed. I laughed because I was like, this is messed up. I can't. What are these guys doing? This is messed up. And Sam's finally putting her foot down. She says she doesn't want to embarrass Julio. She's not going to embarrass Julio. And they can take their place somewhere else if they don't like it. The boys try to press it one more time. At least Elliot does. And...
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. You owe me $100,000.
I thought for sure she would last
Wait,
longer.
what do I have to do with this?
Wait a little bit.
Not so little. Just a private wager to see how long it would take
To drive me crazy?
Yeah, and I won, yeah.
That's it. They tell the story about the bet. $100,000 they bet on this. They had $100,000 on how long it would take for Sam to break. And then they tip Julio off.
Yeah, Julio, thank you. Hook him up.
No problem, guys. See you next year.
Julio.
No problem, guys. See you next year. He doesn't even need the walker that's behind him. They played it off. By the way, so I was thinking about this. So as I'm watching this, I'm like, what does Sam have to be thinking? So Sam obviously got Julio out of the old folks' home. But what kind of old folks' home would release Julio in that condition to some random stranger that they've never met, that's on no piece of paperwork, to go back to work when he can barely feed himself, if that's the scenario that they're going with? What kind of nursing home would do that? Are you kidding? Even the worst nursing homes want the people to just stay in there for a while so they can just keep collecting that particular check. They don't. What? They're not gonna send a guy like Julio out to work. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. But Sam doesn't think about that. Sam doesn't think that hard about it, and I'm glad she doesn't, because this scene is fantastic. And Sam doesn't find it funny. She rolls her eyes. She is just like, ugh. And then Nessa comes in with, well, hell hath no fury. Fantastic scene. I love that scene. These two guys are great. Michael and Elliot are fantastic. We cut to, and that's the talent that they have, and you can see the chemistry. Let's talk about them for half a second. We're talking about the chemistry of these guys. You can tell that they're friends. This is what I was talking about with GST, and he saw them, and he's like, they've been lifelong friends. You can tell. There's just something different in a room when male best friends get together. There really is, and it's some of that. It's some of that. It's the teasing. It's the betting. It's the you can't do. It's a lot of. It's great. We cut to the Belisara. Cosme and Lenore sitting there, drinking sex on the beach, and then Mary comes up to them with a care package for Mr. Wayne Newton himself. Not just an autograph picture. Biggest fan. But
there's something else.
Wayne Newton's bow tie.
Montecito Magic it is still going. We're not done with the Montecito Magic. Don't trip on the Montecito Magic. We're not done yet. As we come right from out of there, and either Mary's ignoring it or doesn't see it, or I don't know. But we see Danny and Shelley, and they are saying their goodbyes. And Shelley says to Danny, did you get the number that I gave you? That is my parents' number in Phoenix. And Danny says he's got it. And as you're watching this, there's a music cue here again. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. There's a music cue on all incarnations. You're hearing a song called "A Day Too Soon" by Kid Gloves. Remember, Kid Gloves is coming back. I think Kid Gloves was probably a subsequent background music writer for them for stuff that wasn't done by Charlie Clouseau. But Kid Gloves with "A Day Too Soon." I can't find it anywhere. If you can find it anywhere, then good for you. But that's what I picked up is the song that's playing behind them as they're saying these sweet goodbyes. And just the smile on Alana De La Garza. On the freeze frame I have it on right now, her teeth are perfect. There's nothing. This girl is. If you're gonna get wrapped up in something, this is the girl that'll do it. She will. Watch out, boy. She'll chew you up. That's the song that should have been playing. Whoa, here she comes. Anyway, they kiss at the steps of the Belisara, and Shelley has to say goodbye to Danny, and she says to Danny to call her, and he will, and he looks wistfully down at the number, and we see somebody get on a bus, and we see Deuce sitting by a window, and wait a minute, Shelley pulls up to the seat next to him, and they start kissing. Oh no, Shelley! Oh no, with Deuce, Shelley! No, Shelley! But wait a minute, there's Danny. First off, Danny must have gotten there super quick. He got there before even Douche got on board because he was at the back end of the bus with the cops. In any event, Danny is there and he sees Shelley and Douche, and he's got some sheriffs behind him, and they're caught, and the cops got him. And we cut back to the casino, and Michael and Elliot are arguing with the clerk about their bill.
Wrong. See, we don't get a bill.
That's right. Same weekend every year we're comped.
Yeah.
You know what? This is stupid. Why don't you get Sam Marquez down here? She'll clear this up.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
worry about
$86,000. See, it's insane. We're not doing that.
I'm sorry, sir. Apparently, there are outstanding charges from previous visits. Back to 1993.
Wait a minute. 19.
Let's talk about the clerk, because we've seen her a couple times already. She is officially a recurring character on this show, so we might as well talk about her. The actress's name is Hida Ambrosino, and her first credit is General Hospital. She was on there. She did an episode of One Life to Live in 2001. She was in an episode of Boston Public. She did The Division Again, a lot of these same credits. She did Frasier. She did Will and Grace, NYPD Blue, Crossing Jordan. Again, for an episode, different characters. This time she was a reporter. The District. According to Jim, Arrested Development. She was in Las Vegas for 2 episodes. This is the second episode we've seen her in. The other episode was Jokers and Fools. Yep, we've seen her. We might as well talk about her a little bit. She was in Friends, Grounded for Life, The West Wing a few times. She was in CSI New York, World of Warcraft, Desperate Housewives, Monk, all the Monk crossover. She did 3 episodes of Monk as a reporter. She was in Shark. She was on the George Lopez Show, All of Us, House, Blind Luck. She was in Hotel for Dogs as a social worker, uncredited. She did the 4 episodes of House. She was Dr. Chen, the anesthesiologist. She was in Private Practice. Her latest credits include Jimmy Kimmel Live, SWAT, NCIS LA, and her last credit, she did Angie Tribeca too. Her last credit was Orion and the Dark as Woman in the Drive-In, a voice in 2024. The last time you probably saw her on screen was in a short called Oyakodon, where she played Mama. She also did an episode of Fetish as Fumi Tanaka. That is Hiro Ambrosino. And we've seen her a couple times here. Here we see her not giving the boys a hard time, but the boys are trying to get their stay comped, and why are there charges on their bill, etc.? Why do they have a bill? They've been comped for 10 years, since 1993. What's going on? And then Sam walks by, and you can tell, and there's a quick glance that she gives them. A quick glance. If you're not paying attention, you miss it. There's a quick glance that she gives them, and she tells them she's never met them before. I don't know what you're talking about. Think of the miles on your bill. As Elliot tells them that, or tells Sam that they're trying to charge him $86,000 on his credit card bill. Listen, you're gonna have to eat that. You're just gonna have to eat that. And Sam is gonna let them sweat it out as Mary comes to talk to her for half a second, and Mary tells Sam,
"You're bad." I know.
Great exchange. Oh, my 2 queens. And we cut back to the office. Danny and Ed. Now the monitors are facing back inward towards the office, where before they were facing outward towards the camera. That was just an interesting thing I'm sure they did for the shot. Seemed to look great, but now they're facing back more towards where Ed is, which makes a lot more sense. In any event, we find out that the watch that Danny gave to Ray Douche was a fake, and we find out that Ed is still disappointed in Danny, or would be more disappointed if Danny went down to a second stringer like Ray Douche. And this is where Ed says that he's disappointed in Danny, and Danny says, from an angel to the devil? Well, possibly someday I'll find the humor in that. And then we get the wrap up with Sam, Delinda, and Danny on the casino floor as they talk about Shelley and Ray Douche. And as they're doing that, there are some attractive twins that walk by, and I guess those were the ones that wanted a date with Danny, but he snoozed, he lose. Now, by the way, at this point, this is one of those things that in these situations can often happen where girls are like, well, you snooze, you lose. And it's like, well, what do you mean snooze, I lose? Like, are they not still sync? Can we not still go out? Like, why can't we? What? Can I not go get drink? Why can't I go get drinks with them now? What changed in the 48 hours between, or 72, or however many hours between when you told me about them and when I found out about them? Why can't we just go get a burger or something? Or what? What's the difference? Sometimes it bees like that, and for the sake of this show, it bees like that, at least for Danny. So he doesn't get door number Delinda. He doesn't get the box with the twins. Door number Mary's still there. In any event, they go to the Bellicera because they hear some music. They heard Donkashane. Cosme's cover of Donkashane. And Mary's sitting there watching. And Lenore is a waitress now at the Bellicera. And that's fantastic. I would have liked to have seen Lenore again. She is sweet. She is amazing. She's sweet. I like her interactions with Cosme. I like her as a support system for Cosme. That's a great relationship. I would have liked to see her again. Fortunately, we don't, but I would have liked to. And now the crew, the young crew, is in Bellicera, and they're hearing Cosme play us off with his rendition of Donkashane. And immediately, as we cut to Danny enjoying it, something comes to mind as Danny's bobbing his head. I'm like, there's something wrong. Why does that look weird to me? Anyway, Cosme's still singing, and then it occurs to me as they continue dancing, as Danny continues dancing with Delinda and Mary, Danny can't dance. Danny's a terrible dancer. And then there's a wide shot, and we see Danny seemingly having a spastic attack or something. I don't know. Danny can't dance. Danny's great for the security, but he can't dance worth a lick. In any event, that's the episode. Pros and cons. Was this not fun? Was this not a great time? Was this not a fantastic time? I loved it. It's one of my absolute favorites. It had all the elements of cool Vegas, right? It had the sexy night out at the nightclub at the Palms, because the Palms used to be the hot spot. Palms was a hot spot for a cool minute. It had the intrigue of the crime drama. It had the fun and the heart at the same time of the Cosme. It had the nod to Old Vegas with Wayne Newton. It had Alana de la Garza. It had Detective Douche. It had everything. That was a classic episode. Pros and cons. That was a classic episode. That's one that I don't think I ever skip this episode. I don't think I ever do. I don't think I ever skip. If I have a watch through, I'm just looking for like a random episode. I don't even know really how you find a random episode now. Maybe streaming. It's one that I don't skip at all. I love this episode. It's great. The music alone is great. With Wayne Newton and his rendition of Suspicious Minds and everything, it's great. And John Briones, he steals it. If he wasn't a recurring character, he would be my definitive VIP guest star for this episode. But because he is in more than one episode, that leaves the field wide open for Detective Douche. That leaves the field wide open for Alana de la Garza, for Michael and Elliot, and for Julio. At least as of right now. By the time you hear this, we'll already know who won. But, great episode. I love this episode. The next episode, coming up, episode 8, Luck Be a Lady, is another really great episode. I really like this episode. And it's funny because there's one of the guest stars I'm not a particular fan of, but I love them in this episode. I love them in this episode of this show, in this time frame, with these guidelines on them. It's great. And this particular role that they're in is fantastic. We're going to get into that next week. In the meantime, in between time, I appreciate you joining me on this journey. I need to hear from you guys. You can find the Podecito on the socials media. That's the Twitter, that's Reddit, that's Facebook, that's, what else is that? We're on TikTok. We are on TikTok. Trying to think, what other social media is there? Instagram. We're on Instagram. We are on Instagram. You can find us on all of those. Look for the Podecito wherever you find your socials media. Tell your friends, share. Even if your friends aren't necessarily Las Vegas fans, share it anyway. We're a good podcast, and they'll probably become fans of the show by listening to this and getting into it with you. But in the meantime, in between time, thank you for coming along with me on this one. We will see you next week for episode 8, Luck Be a Lady. Once again, thank you for coming along. Or should I say, Donkashane, darling Donkashane. Thank you for... Nah, never mind. Yeah, that's enough. You got to pay for the rest of it. Unless you're Johnny Houston, that's all you get. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Take care.